Well, Northern Territory Police say they responded to 97 domestic violence incidents in just one day last week. One man trying to stop the scourge of family violence in the NT is the head of the No More campaign, Charlie King. He led a march of hundreds of people through Darwin yesterday at an event to raise awareness of this issue. The event included a performance from American singer Tony Childs. I spoke to Charlie King earlier today. Charlie King, thanks so much for your time. There was a tremendous turnout yesterday at the No More campaign march that you had at the Casuarina Shopping Square here in Darwin. What did that make you feel when you saw that level of support for what you're trying to do here?
Oh, it was wonderful, I must say, Matt. I mean, people came from everywhere, from all walks of life. I saw some First Nations people who were hanging around outside the shopping centre came in. Tony Childs was the big draw and she was fantastic, there was no doubt about that. But there's just a good feeling that there is a desire to do something about this problem. I mean, it's a huge area of work that we've been involved with now for such a long time, but usually around the festive season, as the Police Commissioner said yesterday, the numbers go through the roof, you know, like it's just, I mean, we just don't understand it. But it was good to see, and we walked away from there thinking, you know, what was really important was to have the serious message going, but to also have some entertainment as well. And Tony Childs, we were so fortunate to get her. And someone came up to me and said, can we get Pink next year? I said, well, we don't know about that, but we'll see what happens.
On the more serious side of this, with the Police Commissioner, Jamie Chalker, also gave us some pretty startling figures yesterday. He said police had responded to 97 instances of family violence in just 24 hours. I mean, you've been campaigning on this issue. You've been trying to address this issue, trying to do something about this issue for 2 decades or more. What do you feel when you hear about a number like that?
I know, it's frustrating. It is frustrating. I mean, nearly 100 a day, that's unbelievable. But, you know, it could be worse, I think, if the work we've been doing hasn't had an effect. And not just us, there's a lot of people doing this work now, which is good. But we've changed the way in which we do business now. We've come up with some whole different ways of working and engaging with communities. And one of the things we're really keen to push even further is this mobilisation around First Nations communities by saying to them, you have an issue, what's your big issue around family violence? Why is it here? Get them to talk through that and then say, what do you want to do about it and who do you think here on this community can actually do that? And then when they come up with that, we fund it and we work with them. So our role, instead of being there raising awareness, we're now the support worker for the person, but the person or the people, in some cases it's a man and a woman, share the role, report back to their own community about what they're doing. So they supervise the whole thing. We just guide from behind all of that.
And you're also trying to get seniors involved, aren't you? Trying to get them to play key. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a huge amount of seniors. This is where the great wisdom lies in our community, I think. I mean, I laughed the other day when someone suggested that when you get to 70, you shouldn't be allowed to vote. Well, we know people over 70, you know, they know their business. Nobody knows what happens in those big families better than the seniors themselves, the grandmothers, the grandfathers, the great-grandmothers, the great-grandfathers. They know exactly what's going on in their families. We want to give them training to be able to identify red flags, and red flags can be things like, you know, being over-jealous or putting their partners down in public, you know, all those sorts of things. To talk about, look for the red flags, and then when you've worked out that there are red flags, more training from us about how to actually approach that and do something about it. We see there's so many seniors that have indicated to us that they're interested in doing that because they know what they will leave behind is a solution to a problem that we've been battling with for so many years, decades. You've mentioned we've been doing it, but it's been an issue for so many, many years. Here's a chance, I think, engaging with the seniors to actually make a difference, to make a real difference.
There's been a lot of discussion about alcohol policy recently in the Northern Territory. How big an impact does alcohol have when it comes to domestic violence?
I mean, I think, and we've often asked this question, and we say to people when they've been perpetrators of violence, well, why did you do it? And they say, we're drunk. And you know what we always say to them? We know a lot of people who get drunk, but they don't hurt their partners. They don't hurt their partners. When people are under the influence of alcohol or drugs, the beatings are worse. There's no doubt about that. But to say alcohol's the sole problem, that's not true. It's just not true. It's an attitude that men have, mostly men, more women now than ever before, but it's just a problem that we have to deal with, you know. And banning alcohol is not going to make any difference, I don't think, to those people who already have that attitude.
People who live in the Northern Territory and see this sort of stuff every day, let's be honest, we see it. And the point was made, I think it was Mike Foley who was making the point at the event yesterday. It said you walk out the doors of the shopping centre, you will see it. You will see this issue on the faces of the women who walk past you out there.
Yeah.
There wouldn't be a bigger issue that we're facing here in the Northern Territory. Are governments doing enough to try and address this issue? And does the problem lie just with governments, or are there other people that need to take responsibility here to try and stamp this out?
Good point, good point. The final point there, because I think there is a need for the rest of the community people, business and whatever, to actually take a stronger stance. I mean, we have developed a domestic violence action plan, which is a plan that's written up by either a sporting club, sporting code, or a business, small business or whatever, that clearly outlines what they're doing around family violence and make it a standing agenda item on their meetings whenever they meet, to have a look at what difference it's actually making. So we think that's really important. As for the government, I mean, they have a plan to, within a decade, to stamp this out. That's wishful thinking, but you know what, we're going to work as hard as we can, and we continue to do what we've always done to see if we can make a real difference. And so we try many different things, and that new relationship with the seniors, I think, is going to be a really important step forward for us.
Well, Charlie, it is wonderful work that you do and you've been doing for so long in this space. Congratulations for doing it, and thanks so much for joining us today.
Always appreciated your support, Matt. Thanks.